What's up, everyone? I'm Ruthina Porterfield, and this is Liberated Conversations with Ruthina. You guys, it is the last episode of season 3, our season of purpose, and I am excited about this one. It's also our last Seeds of Devotion episode. And this whole season has been an awesome journey. And today we're going to talk about detours that happen on the journey towards our purpose. And it follows up an awesome episode that I hope you got to see, watch, or listen to. They are available on YouTube as well as on any of your podcasting platforms that you like to listen to. This is a great follow-up to it because we really delve deep into how sometimes our plan does not coincide with God's plan for our life. And that can be difficult sometimes. So we're going to get into it. You guys that are already signed on, I see you and we want to hear from you. I want to hear your comments. Erin is here. My devotion partner is here and we are ready to talk about this. And I want to talk about it with you. So tell a friend to join the conversation. Hello, Erin.
Hey, good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I am excited about this one, as I have said before. This one, the devotion that we did, you guys, was called Winding Roads to Purpose, or what was it called? It was called Winding Paths.
Yeah, you were close.
Winding Paths to Purpose. And if you are familiar with Tony Evans, he is a pastor out of Dallas, Texas. He's the one who wrote this devotion and it had videos. It was only 3 days, but when I tell you it was a power-packed 3 days, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think I was like taken aback because it hit so close to home for what's going on in my life right now.
Yeah.
I was just like, whoa, okay, gosh, I hear you.
Did you get whiplash?
Yeah, I feel like
it was no joke. I also have to say that this one was actually kind of an inadvertent suggestion of one of our regular viewers, Tequila Russell, who does a lot of our devotions with us.
Yeah.
She actually had already participated in this devotion on her own. And I want to say that if you have participated in a devotion and you think it would be nice, a good one for us to go through and you want to join in on that discussion, hey, we're open to it.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely. Yes, for sure. Yeah. This one was awesome. So thank you, Tequila, for that one.
For sure. And we've got some agreement here because another one of our regulars says right here, it was good. She shared, I love it. She says she shared it with her siblings and they did it too. That's huge. Yeah. It's a powerful one.
I wanted to share it with my mom, but she had trouble getting onto the app. So we got to get those seniors, that next generation, get them on those.
We got to get those boomers on. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Get on.
Let's jump right into day 1. Okay. Mm-hmm. So day 1, I think the first lesson that he wanted us to make sure that we understood was that we all were created with a purpose, right?
Yeah.
He wanted to kind of make that clear right from the jump. And if you've been with us through season 3, make sure you listen to the other episodes. We kind of established that in probably our first Seeds of Devotion episode for the season, that, yeah, we were all created for a purpose. Yeah. But the next thing he wanted to be very clear about was the whole idea of detours, because that's what these winding paths are about.
Yeah.
That kind of encompass what the entire devotion was about. He wanted us to understand detours. So, okay, so we're jumping in here. So, I want to make sure I get this right. So, he wanted us to understand how negative circumstances and unexpected scenarios affect our plans. But those circumstances and scenarios might not necessarily be some crazy thing from the devil. It might be something that God intends to use, which might not be all that easy to understand or accept, right?
I've been, oh my gosh. So we finished this, and then I've been watching a lot of messages lately, just to glean some more encouragement. And another message I listened to this week, I think it was Stephen Furtick, actually. He was sharing about how
Love him.
we always say, I know, he has so many great things to say. He's always like blowing my socks off, but it was about how we always say, oh, the devil this and the devil that. And it's like, well, maybe it's God trying to show you something, or maybe it's God doing something. So yeah, the fact of the idea of like, it's part of what God has already seen and has allowed has always been a difficult pill for me to swallow. Always, always, always. And it's, I'm thankful that I've never gone to the place where I sit in a spot of like, well, God's just not good then because he allowed this. Because I've always seen redemption, and I've always seen some silver linings. And I know Romans 8:28 is true because I've seen it in my own life. So I'm thankful that I've always made it all the way around that circle back to, God is good. I never stop at like, oh, I just can't hang with this anymore. But it's a tough one.
Yeah, you're right. It's a tough one. I just realized I'm probably going to be sharing a whole bunch of stories throughout this particular episode because the huge detour I keep hearing and seeing in that day was there was something when I first moved to LA, which, like I told you, I'm coming up on my 15-year anniversary of moving here. And when I moved here, I told God, I want, if you didn't do whatever you were supposed to do in 3 years, I wanted to leave. And 2 years in, I was ready to go. So I didn't even want to wait 3 years. And I actually remember making plans to move back home. Everything was all set and nothing worked out for me to go home. Like there was no money. I lost my job. The girl that I was rooming with decided to move. Like nothing worked out, and I ended up having to stay. And I remember saying, no, God, this is not the plan. I don't know what you're doing. And quite frankly, I don't care what you're doing. I want to go home. Like, this is not cool. Yeah. And I remember the most divine thing that happened, and I'm speeding through because of this is a podcast episode. But I remember, because I ended up having to live with someone. I was living in a garage, girl. And I remember at a kid's birthday party, some child's mother who I did not know from Adam came up to me as I was sitting down by myself and just straight started prophesying to me. I don't know if she even realized it. No, she probably did. I think she was an angel, to be quite honest with you. But she said to me, and this is so fitting for this, she said, you are on a U-turn right now. She said, you came here. And she didn't say you came to LA. She was just kind of speaking. And it looked so strange because she was speaking into the air. She wasn't looking directly at me. She was speaking into the air, but it was clear she was talking to me.
Wow.
She said, you came here, and somewhere along the way while you've been here, you made a wrong turn. And God has you on a U-turn because you need to start over.
Wow.
I was like, what?
That is so intense, Ruthina.
What? I was like, and that's when I learned about Detours. That was my first lesson in Detours.
That's incredible to me. Like, did you just accept it right away? Because when I started the study, I'll be honest with everyone today, I was like, I don't think there are such a thing as detours, because if God knows everything and he orchestrates everything and works with us and collaborates with us, then how is there even a detour? But like, there is. Like, I've had, I realize it in my own life. And now you're saying someone sat down next to you and confirmed it.
Confirmed it. Like, when I tell you, it was so transformational in my life that I have a very old piece of paper somewhere floating around here. That night I went and wrote down what happened, because it was just, I remember it was this redheaded lady with glasses, and her child was playing in the jumper. She said what she said, because she talked to me about a trapeze too, and there was something else in that too. Like, it was like transformational. But she said what she said. Then she went to the jumper, got her little girl, and left. And get this, my friend's daughter said that they never heard she did not come back to school on Monday. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
She did not come back to school on Monday.
Did they know who she was?
They knew because they invited her.
Oh, yeah.
They invited her. They knew who she was, but she did not come back to school on Monday, and she was done. And that was it. I was like, okay, God, but we got to bring it back in, because I could tell you, I wish I could tell you everything that she said. It was so transformational. But specifically for this, it made me understand that God will allow us to go so far. But here's the thing, you got to let him have control, right? He will let you sit in the driver's seat for a little while. So if you want to take the wheel, hey, cool. Let's see how far you get. And at some point, either you will figure it out, or God will decide, okay, she's going way left. I got to step in here. I got to step in here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the detour happens.
I'm feeling so convicted / overwhelmed, because I'm trying to think now a couple areas of my life. I'm like, okay, is this a detour? Or is that like, I'm going to pray about it as soon as we're done.
Yeah.
It can be confusing because it's like, okay, I'm learning about humility right now too. And so the humility of being like, God, I humble myself. And if there's any places that I am going on my own and not listening, I don't want to do that. I don't want to take any more detours than I have to.
Right. I think you also have to trust that, and I am going to put up this comment where she says, sometimes, yeah, you want to ask God, why would you allow this?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you would ask, why would you allow me to have the wheel when you know I'm going to mess it up?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, exactly.
But I think it's that loving father, right? Mm-hmm. It's that loving father that says, you know what? Let me show her how much she needs me.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I think it's a strange thing that happens, and you have to kind of be able to accept that. He might have to take you on detours. It's so funny because you think you're on your way somewhere, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're not. Because that's what happened to me coming to LA. And then also just other things since then. I mean, you might think you're pursuing the right career and everything seems to be kind of working out, but then you start hitting stuff, and it's like, bam, no, you're not. You got to get off this road and get on another one.
Yeah.
So it can be frustrating.
I think there's like that level of freedom he gives us of, let her see how much she needs me. And then also, like, as a loving father, giving us space to make choices, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to let her go this far, but I love her too much to let her drive off this cliff, making. And then, like, for me, the detour in my life has been, like relationships ending always feel like a detour to me, because I'm always thinking like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep moving forward. And then God like did like a hard left and was like, no, I'm taking this out of your life. And I'm thinking now, I want to go back and process that and be like, okay, why? And were there mistakes that I made, or was just this not, the thing that he wanted me in? Or is there a time and a place to just say, I don't know, and I don't need to know why. I need to let go and just trust. And that's really difficult to do as well, of asking God, why this detour, why that?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think asking why and not getting an answer can be like crazy making,
Yeah, it's a difficult one. It's a long comment, so I'm going to read it here.
Yeah.
Tequila, who kind of inspired this whole devotion. She says, I'm literally in a harvest season spiritually, where I'm finally realizing why it is taking me so long to finish my PhD, which we were just talking about career-wise, right? Mm-hmm. It was never about speeding through a program for academic success. It was and is about a faith-filled journey that God was taking me through to become who I am today so that I could inspire other women. Wow. I literally started with writing my book today.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. When I finish my PhD program, I'm going to be ready. It's all about him. My thinking was the detour.
Wow.
Okay, I'm going to have to edit out that scream and everything for the podcast.
Oh, that's okay. No, yeah.
How
wow.
that is something else. It's such a reminder that God always thinks bigger than
Yeah.
us. He always thinks bigger than us. When even
Yeah.
in relationships, we have this thing in mind of we have our list of what we think we need and what we think we want. And God's like, okay, don't forget that even in the relationship, I'm supposed to get glory. And if I'm not going to get glory with you being with this person, yeah, no, that's not who you're going to be with.
Point. That's a really good point.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think when it comes to careers, not even just careers, everything.
Mm-hmm.
We want to speed through everything, just the way she was saying she wanted to speed through her program because we want things now.
Yeah.
Like, if we don't want it now, we at least want it on our own timetable.
Oh, yes.
Right. And when it's not on our timetable, we got issues. Like, I got questions.
Yeah. Like, definitely.
So yeah, I think it's a thing of slowing down and staying in God's presence, which was day 2. Day 2 was about staying in God's presence when you're on those detours. And I actually want you to put some insight into this, because now that you are kind of in this, I guess you feel like you're in kind of a limbo, maybe kind of a in between type season, your own detour. Here's where he said in the devotion, this is probably the most important time to stay close to God, to stay in his presence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you're on a detour, that means that you're not on the main road. And so to get back there, you need constant direction, because most of the time on detours, and in my mind, I picture the off-road, the road that's kind of dark, or the road that's kind of, you don't know what you need, straight direction. Yeah, you're going to have to stay close to him. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I'm looking over Mike. Oh, goodness. So, yeah, I think staying close to God in this season is easy on one hand. At first, it was difficult because I felt frustrated and angry. And I realized that when I hit a detour, whatever type of situation it is in my life, particularly with relationships, though, I tend to feel angry because I don't understand. And then after a while, over the years, God has shown me the quicker I can let go of what I was expecting and what I had in mind. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Noel's comment is like right on. Yeah, the quicker I can let go of that and embrace the new reality of what the situation is, the more I heal. And so staying close to God in that is paramount, because otherwise I can become bitter. I can become jaded. I can become full of despair instead of hope. And it's really easy. And so the story of Joseph on this day really inspired me, because, and I don't want to steal your thunder if you're going to talk about that, but he, keeps getting detour. And it's not something he's doing. It's something that's happening to him. And all along it just says, and the Lord was with him. And the Lord was with him, and so I think it says that several times. Well, what is that saying? I was just listening to one of my favorites, Joyce Meyer. She's like, okay, so he's not responding in bitterness. He's not responding, and if he did, it's not written there in the Bible, and so his brother sold him into slavery. All these terrible things happened to him, and yet he continues to find favor. And I think it's because of what you just said, because he stays close to the Lord. And I think that's just really the simple key. So I've been doing that. I've just been staying so close to him, more times of worship, more times of devotionals, I'm reading through the Psalms in a women's group that I'm in, actually. And that's been encouraging because the psalmists go on and on about how they feel, and it's up and down and all around, and yet they encourage themselves. David encourages himself, and so that's been really cool. But I'm not gonna lie, it's been rough. It's been an interesting journey. It's been about 5 weeks. Yeah, so
yeah, it's funny because I have found that in my darkest times, I always want to let go of God. I want him to let go of me. I get frustrated, and he always pulls me closer. And on one end, I'm like, I get even more frustrated. Even in my book that comes out on September 17th, there is a part in there that specifically discusses how I wanted God to let me go, and he would not let me go. And because it was the darkest time and he kept pulling me closer. I know regarding Joseph, the story of Joseph, for the last 6 weeks or so in my life, the story of Joseph keeps popping up. Just popping up.
Wow.
And and specifically the phrase, and God was with him. God was with him. And the link between God was with him and the success in his life, the manifestations, the good manifestations of stuff in his life, even in the midst of the craziness, even in the midst of the detour that he was in. Because let's face it, before his detour, his mind was, oh, okay, I have this dream and everyone's going to bow down to me and it's just going to be great.
Right.
And then massive detour, a detour caused by his brothers, no less.
Yeah, that's so true, because what God revealed to him was true. There were just things that were going to happen first.
A whole bunch of stuff. Well, and you know what? It makes me wonder if detour, and I think that might be the whole point of this devotion, that the detours are a part of God's plan. Our plan doesn't include detours. Our plan includes getting on the 405 and heading straight there with no traffic.
Yeah.
As if that will ever happen.
That's
okay. That will never happen, or if you are in any state, whatever state you're in, exactly what I'm talking about, getting over on whatever freeway.
Yeah.
And thinking that it's just going to be a straight shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And God is always taking us off by exit number 6 or exit number 9.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's as she says here, life in the fast lane.
That's what we want it to be, and then it's not. We get into little fender benders, and then we spin out, and then it takes a while to repair and get back on the road.
And it's just, and God's like, yeah, no, that's real cute. I love how beautiful your plan is, but
yeah.
No.
Well, what's been my scripture the last few weeks that's really brought me a lot of comfort is his thoughts are higher than my thoughts, his ways are higher than my ways, and also he doesn't withhold good things from those whose walk is upright. And my walk is upright as best as I can do, but also he sees me through the lens of Christ and what he did. So that brings me great comfort as well, because that's my other go-to victim mentality default on accident. It's like, oh, he's withholding from me. God's holding something back from me. That's why he's allowing this to happen. And it's actually the opposite. It's actually because he loves me. And, the world is a place full of hurting people who hurt other people too. So my choice, it could have been their choice. And he weaves that all together. And I love what you just said about how God's plan includes the detours, and he sees all the multiple millions of possibilities of how things can go, and he knows, and so he weaves it in. And that's the best my small little brain can comprehend it. But he's a multi-dimensional God, and he's in he sees everything. He's outside of time and space.
He is outside of time and space. I think this is a good kind of thing too, because when you go on long trips, you do have to stop ever so often. So there are rest stops, and when you go on long trips, yeah, you might have to go to the restroom, go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You got to account for all those things. You got to account for the breaks.
I love that.
So I think that's a good comparison.
Also, like the flat tire comparison, now that we're sort of yes-anding, it's like, yeah, you've got a spare tire in your trunk or you have AAA because something might happen. So
Exactly. So yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's so funny. It's so funny that our mind really doesn't account for all the things that could go wrong. Even I know I used to have this mentality, or I have this mentality that God is dealing with me about. I think he's trying to kind of correct me in some things.
Okay.
But I used to have this mentality of hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Okay.
In all situations. What I have found previously is that even the worst sometimes isn't what I think is the worst. Like, and so I may not necessarily be prepared. Again, like when I moved to LA, in my mind, when I was ready to go, that's the worst that can happen. Hey, I head back to Charlotte, North Carolina, and everything's all good.
Yeah.
I didn't account for the fact that God would be, no, you're not going back. It never occurred to me that he would say, no, you're not going back.
Yeah.
It never occurred to me. I know the last relationship I was in, which literally was 10 years ago, I was in a relationship, and I remember I went into it, and it was one of those things where on paper, it looked like it should work. He was an aspiring athlete. I was an aspiring actress. He was pursuing his dream. I was pursuing my dream. We were smart, intellectual. We met in church. Like, where could you go wrong with that? You meet in church. You know what I mean?
Right. That's the dream.
Like, this was supposed to be the best thing ever. And God was like, yeah, no. Like, no, that's not it. And I'm like, hold up, but the whole plan though, like this, I had already, girl, wedding planning, like it was like the whole 9 yards, everything. And God was like, and here's the thing, and I pray that this encourages you as well as anyone who's listening. Here's the thing that I realized. It was a 5-year long thing, 5 years.
Wow.
God told me almost like a year and a half in that it was not me.
Are you serious?
A year and a half in, he was like, no. And to be honest with you, he probably told me 6 months in, and I probably thought,
is that God? Is that me having doubt?
Yeah. But a year and a half in, it was real clear.
How did you know, Ruthina? Do you mind sharing?
There were things that happened. We never had like breakout fights or anything or arguments. It was a long distance relationship for most of it. What it came to about a year and a half in was we would be together. There was a moment where we were together. We were just hanging out together. And I found myself uncomfortable around him. I found myself like there was a part of me that lived, and it probably was my spirit saying, why are you here? Like, what? Why are you here?
Wow.
And I remember looking at him and thinking, this isn't what I thought it was supposed to be. Like this. And like I said, there were no knockdown, drag out fights or anything, no arguments. It was just, this is not right. Like, this is not right. And that was the year and a half in mark.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember when I left because I was visiting him. And I remember when I left on the car drive, as I was driving back, God was like, so are you going to end it? Real talk. He was like, so are you going to end it?
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, wait, what do you mean end it? And he said, you need to end it. Like, I'm telling you, it's over. This is over. And I wouldn't, this is because it was long distance at that point. I thought, well, since it is long distance, technically, as long as we don't talk, like, wouldn't that be over? Like, maybe I just need some more time. Maybe because you try to find any and every reason to hold on.
Oh yeah.
Any and every reason to hold on.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I held on for like 5 years. And then in between that year and a half mark and that 5-year mark where I was like, okay, no, this is done. Again, no knockdown, drag out fights. He was not horrible to me. He did not, like, there was, you know what I mean? He was a decent guy. But there were things that happened after that year and a half mark where God was like, okay, you're not going to end it. So I'm just going to start doing stuff. Wow. I'm just going to start letting stuff happen to make you end it. So there were things like he would go 2 months without calling me. 2 months. He would, like, and I mean, no communication whatsoever. None. And then all of a sudden he would call back, or something big would happen in my life and he would be a no-show. Or something big would happen in his life and he wouldn't tell me, or he wouldn't share it with me. Like, things like that, that let me know I'm not that person in his life. And quite frankly, neither is he in mine.
Wow.
And so finally, I had something really, really traumatic happen. And what I did was I knew that because this traumatic thing happened, it was a sickness that happened. It was a cancer scare. And I knew that I only wanted people around me that I knew loved me. And I mean, loved me. And so I straight up, we are being real transparent here. I straight up asked him on the phone one day. I was like, you know what? Listen, I'm about to go under the knife in like a month or two, major surgery. This is where I am. And I thought I turned this off. Excuse me. This is where I am. And I only need people around me that love me. Do you love me? And he said no.
Oh, gosh.
He said no. And because I was already prepared for that answer, and I said, that's what I needed to hear. And he said, really? And I said, yeah. And I said, be blessed. Have a good one. And I have never heard from him since. And that was literally 10 years ago.
Ruthina, oh my God.
Yeah. But it was 5 years. And I don't know if it was a detour as much as it was, because that wasn't a detour caused by God. Ooh, I hear you, Holy Spirit. That was a detour of my own making. It was a detour of my own making.
Yeah.
And God had to step in and bring me back. It's a tough one.
This is ministering to me because I'm at a crossroads where it's like, I feel like if I make a decision to, do something, it could cause a detour, and I don't want to. So thank you for being transparent and sharing all of that.
Well, I do want to encourage you that even if you do end up on a detour of your own making, or a detour that you don't want to be on, just remember that God is bigger than our mistakes.
Yeah.
And he is bigger than those wrong turns. And not only that, beyond his bigness, not dismissing it, but beyond his bigness, his love for us is so deep.
Yeah.
That he will lovingly kind of lead us back onto the road. And his timing, he's powerful enough to make up for any lost time. I don't worry about those 5 years that I missed. I don't worry about that.
That is something I worry about from time to time. And then I think like, why, so I'm going to take a tip from you today with that attitude, because what is that verse that says like, God will replace what the locusts have eaten?
Yeah, that is not the prayer of Jabez. It might be the prayer of Jabez. No. This is a restoration verse that they back in the day. Yeah, he replaced what the locust and the cankerworm ate. The verse that I was thinking about is "My time is in your hands," and knowing that. Remember, what is it? A day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like a day. God can make up for 5 years and like that.
Well, look at Job. I mean, that's a whole different kind of detour, right? It's like one that God allowed through his hands of, wisdom, and then blesses him with everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that was just day 2. We got one more day.
We can do it.
Just as a reminder, you guys, this is our Seeds of Devotion episodes, and all of our Seeds of Devotion episodes are sponsored by Mabel and Company Seeds and Such, which Miss Erin is a part of.
Yes, I am.
I'm so happy to have you guys, and for the rest of the year, so you'll be here for season 4 as well. Yeah. And you guys just did your first IG Live, which was awesome.
Yeah, we're going to do another one this Friday. So if you guys are interested in gardening, or you just want to come hang out because you've always been curious about it, or you want to just see some beautiful flowers, my mom and I will be going live on Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we're specifically talking this week about cosmos, zinnias, and pansies. We're going to see her flowers and then also talk about seed to seedling, and then answer any questions anyone has. And we're just going to kind of chat. We're going to banter back and forth and, just enjoy our mother-daughter dynamic while she's in her garden. And we want to bring you guys into that, fold you into that, and just have a peaceful time in the garden. So hopefully we'll see you on Friday.
Yeah. So on the 3rd day, he brought us in by reminding us that we are constant works in progress. Mm-hmm. That we are constant works in progress, and that by being works in progress, we are works under his hand. And because we're works under his hands, that means that we are subject to what he wants to do with us.
Right.
Not what we want to do with us.
Yeah.
Right. Another difficult piece to kind of accept.
Yeah, this day was hard for me to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because of that concept, because it feels like, yeah, I feel like I know what my purposes are, my purpose and my why, and especially in the industry as well. But when it comes to other life things, sometimes I have a hard time. I don't know if the word submit is the right. But like I've been learning about 1 Corinthians 13 and also, in Ephesians, where it talks about wives submit to your husbands lay down your life for your wife. And just like, what do those words really mean? And they're not oppressive like we tend to think maybe they are, and I've just been learning a lot about that. But anyway, submitting to God is not oppressive either, and so putting yourself under his authority and guidance is actually, it brings peace, and it also brings calmness and like a sense of direction. But yeah, it's something that I do struggle with in times where something didn't go the way I wanted. And so I want to try this, and I want to try this, and I want to know why, and this and this and that. And sometimes the submission is just accepting the circumstances that God has allowed and being like, you've allowed this, so there must be a reason, or you're going to teach me something, and sitting with that.
Yeah. I will say this in regards to the word submit. It is absolutely imperative. And I say this for you as well as everybody else who may be listening, it is absolutely imperative to understand the etymology behind the words that are used in scripture. It is absolutely imperative to understand the translation, because there's so much stuff that gets lost in translation. So we don't necessarily, we might even be able to address that whole submit wife thingamajiggy in our next season, because I'm going to reveal that at the end. Hang in there, because we're going to talk about the theme for season 4 right at the end. But I think as far as submitting to God, I know that is something that has come up within the last week with me. I'm working with a brand consultant who asked me that question of what is it that I need to relinquish in my life when it comes to what God wants to do with me. And it is relinquishing control and accepting and surrendering to what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. The best illustration that was provided in the devotion and to me in the Bible is understanding that we are God's masterpiece, but with us being his masterpiece, that means that we as the creation cannot tell the creator what to do with us. We as the clay can't tell the potter what to do with us. We are inanimate without the hands and the breath of God. And if you look at it in that way and remember how he is crafting us lovingly and with purpose, you will, and this is something that was actually said in the devotion, you will desire, you allow him to give you the desire that matches the purpose of the creator, of the potter, of the person who is molding us into what he wants, right? And so, yeah, so for me, I have gotten to the place where, just as you said, I don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste time. And I have found that the way not to waste time is to just let him do whatever it is he wants to do. Just let him do whatever he wants to do. Darn it, do it. And that's where a lot of times I get frustrated with him, because I'm like, why is it taking so long? Which goes back to day one. But why is it taking so long? We end up in this circle, this cycle. But yeah, just really kind of just saying, you know what, have at it. Have at it. And I've gotten to a place now where I can look at no matter what state I'm in. Yeah, I have a book coming out and the podcast is here. But before that, and even in the midst of this, my financial situation sucks. Like if you look at it from the outside, from a fleshly perspective, my financial situation is a joke at this moment. Like it is, it's just not the bomb, you know? But I don't look at it that way. I see so far beyond material and what the outside and the, what it's, I see so far beyond that, that when people ask me how I am, I can honestly say, God is amazing. I am good. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. And you can look at it and go, but, you don't have a job. Like, you don't have a full-time job. No, I don't. And it's because God told me not to have it. And it's like, wait, what? Yeah. So I know I'm in his will. I'm good. I'm straight. And the proof is the fact that I've been in this apartment for 10 years and I had never been kicked out. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to think, it's one of those things where you just kind of surrender to his plan and surrender to his purpose for you,
that you have a lot of faith and a lot of obedience and courage, and that's awesome. It's inspiring.
Well, that's the only way I'm gonna have peace. Like, because people always say, what is that word? He'll keep you in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on him. But people forget the other part of the verse is because you trust in him. And you got to take the totality of the verse. And when I take the totality of the verse, that's when the peace comes in. It doesn't come in me, just my mind stayed on him. If my mind is constantly, when are you going to do this? What are you going to do? You're not doing anything. You lied. You're like, it's just like, if that's where your mind is, no, you're not going to be in peace. Your mind has to be trusting in him.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
that's what I encourage you and I encourage everyone else to do. At the end of the day, trust him with your life, trust him with your purpose, and trust him to order your steps. That's where your peace will come.
Yeah, that's really good.
You guys, that is season 3, our season of purpose. And I have thoroughly enjoyed.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
I have thoroughly enjoyed it. And next season, we are going to go ahead and announce the theme for next season, which starts in September, which will be our first Seeds of Devotion episode. So it will be September 7th. And that theme is relationships.
Yay.
That is going to be the theme for next season. Every episode will be centered around it, and we will have our first devotion on September 7th. Of course, we will announce when it will be.
Yeah.
And as I said before, please, if you have any suggestions for devotions, let us know. We're so open to it, right?
Yeah, I'm excited because this is just right on time about relationships. I'm really excited. Excuse me. I'm really excited to see what God does and what we end up talking about and what we learn from each other. So please join us for those conversations and get in on the Bible app with us. Send us a DM or email us or message us on Facebook. We always love hearing from you. Honestly, we want to come have these conversations as a community. So reach out to us.
Reach out. In the meantime, thank you, Erin. I'm going to see you in September.
Yeah, I'll see you in September.
All right. Hang out for just a moment. So you guys, that is season 3. Yay. You guys, it has been an awesome, awesome season. And I loved hanging out with you. I will be back on September 7th. However, if you follow me immediately following this, I'm going to be hanging out on my personal page, which is going to become my business page, because I'm going to be talking a little bit about what's happening for my book. And that's where it's going to be. So follow me over there. But in the meantime, go listen to any episodes that you have not listened to on Spotify or Google Podcast or Apple Podcasts, whatever. They're on all the platforms. In the meantime, peace, stay cool, and God bless. Bye.